Alrighty, I bought this thing thinking that I might have to make my own egg washing machine, my own version of that white thing you seen the other day. Amazing, made in Australia. Using a catalyst process similar to the Fischer-Tropsch process that the Nazis used to keep their war in fuel, we actually make plastic from the huge amounts of natural gas in this country. But anyway, on to what I want to talk about. There is another way that van dwellers, and particularly truck drivers and RVers, anyone who's on the move in a vehicle on a regular basis, can wash their clothes. And this one was told to me by my parents, who learned it from someone else in the 1970s. They went and travelled around the country and, got married in this state and then went anti-clockwise around the country and ended up having me and my sister in Western Australia. And on their travels, they met other people doing the same sort of thing. And it was suggested to them that a great method to wash your clothes is get a bucket, maybe something like that. That's about 6 gallon. You could get your 5 gallon plastic buckets with your lids. I think back then, I don't know if the person was using a steel rubbish bin or something, because it was the 70s when they heard this, or one of those old steel tubs. It's probably actually better to use something that's more vertical than lower lying like one of those old steel tubs. But what you basically do is you go and fill it up halfway. You don't want to fill it up too much with water, because if it's very full, the water doesn't have a chance to slosh around. So you only fill it up halfway with water. The water has a good chance to slosh around with the movement of the vehicle. So you go half water, throw your clothes in, throw some detergent in, and if you have it, preferably put a lid on. You can go and get 5 gallon buckets with lids on them. Sometimes they have paint in them. I wouldn't bother with those. If you know someone who's in the drywall industry, they put plaster bog in them, and if you get to and wash them out, you can get all that plaster bog out fairly easily. Especially if it's still damp, you can easily get it out. It's not as easy if it's hardened up. Or you can just go to the hardware store and buy them with, the lids. And the long and short of it is, once you've gone at least 30, 35 miles, preferably 50 miles, just the movement and the rocking of the vehicle, it doesn't have to be a really bad road, but so long as you're not travelling on rails, just the movement of the vehicle as it, moves along the road and there's slight curves or dips or even turns in the road, the water sloshes around and your clothes get cleaned. And at some points, if you've got to stop and have a break or whatever, you can pour the water out on the ground. Don't worry about a bit of grey water hitting the ground, no big deal. And you wring the clothes out, which is basically grabbing either end of them and twisting them to squeeze the water out. Rinse the suds out of your bucket, refill your bucket with fresh water, put your clothes back in and do the same again for a few more miles, and that'll rinse your clothes out. And then you're right, then you can pull them out, wring them again and empty your bucket if you feel like it, if you're not going to continue on and, just top the bucket up and put some more detergent in and go again. You can get your rinsed clothes out, wring them out, and then hang them up on a clothesline or just some sort of a rope or damn heavy string between your vehicle and a tree or two trees, or if you're a real friggin' weirdo, you can hang it between two road signs or whatever. You might have bloomin' even bollards, at some of these rest areas, and you can string a few clothes up and let them dry out for a day or two. If you don't get them to dry out and you're in a low humidity environment like here, I've found you can leave clothes wet for 2 days and then you have to dry them out, otherwise they go mouldy. In humid environments, it's probably only a day, or not even that, maybe the same day, to avoid your clothes going mouldy. Having said that, if your clothes are synthetics like polyester, not cotton, they ain't going to go mouldy because they're synthetic. So anyway, it's really good if you travel, like 100 miles or something like that in a day, with at least one point in time that you can stop and have a break and get access to more water, and travel for at least 100 miles in one day, and then have a day or two where you just stay in the same town to give the clothes a chance to dry or whatever. And yeah, that is a real method. And if you're there's nothing to say you can't use 5 of these 5-gallon buckets, because they do all sit inside each other, the 5-gallon white plastic buckets, and that makes it convenient for storage. But I will say, if the buckets are wet, you don't really want to go sticking them in a chipboard cupboard, because it may cause mould in the cupboard. But anyway, just another thing I picked up on that I think is actually very rarely known in the RV community, truck driving, van dwelling community, and that's something that I've known about for quite a while.